I'm your host Sonali Bendre and meet my co-host, Icy Behl. Icy, say hi. Joining me today is someone whose compassion for animals is as celebrated as her contributions to Indian cinema. Amala Akkineni, a true pioneer in animal welfare. She's the co-founder of Blue Cross of Hyderabad, one of India's most impactful and respected animal welfare organizations. Along with her, we have the leader who brings together business acumen, deep purpose, and a whole lot of heart. Salil Murthy, Managing Director of Mars Petcare, India's largest pet food company. The company's legacy spans over 90 years globally, and in India, it continues to win the trust of millions through Pedigree and Whiskas, two of the most iconic and loved brands. Okay, so let's start light. From both of you, I want to know, what is this one story about your pet that brings a smile to your face? Let's start with you.
So I've had, between my husband and I, we've had about 18 rescue pets. Very truthfully, many of them I don't consider my pet, like they adopted me.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'll tell you the story of Chameli.
Okay.
That'll make you smile. She and her sister, Champa and Chameli, were two sisters who walked in off the street and adopted us.
Okay.
They're Indies. Chameli would go around the neighborhood and she would go and say hello to every single
House
neighbor.
there?
Yes, yes. And one day she came most agitated and she took me. My neighbor had passed away.
Oh.
But she was the nicest, sweetest dog. She's still there. She's 14 and a half now, totally
Wow.
blind, but she still finds her way around the neighborhood. Yeah.
She had understood that and she came and got
Yeah,
you. Oh my
yeah.
God. They're so sensitive.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. And you know, my neighbor's wife was so grateful when Champa came and we came and stood there by her side. And she said, you know, she comes every day to say hello. And my husband used to, you know, look forward to her visit. And yeah, so that really makes us smile, but it's a heavy smile.
No, but it's so
it's
beautiful.
a special smile.
Yeah, it is. It is a special smile. What about you?
Sonali, thank you for having me on the podcast. It's an honor to be here, especially with Amala, who's been doing so much pioneering work in this field for so many years. So,
Absolutely.
Fantastic to be here. You know, the story that I have, I grew up with pets. We had a pet at home, we had a dog at home. And then in my grandfather's house where I lived a lot, he had a pet as well. But the story I want to talk about is actually one of a dog called Maya, who is a very special dog who lives in our office actually.
Oh.
And the connection is that Maya actually, we got her from the Blue Cross of Hyderabad.
Oh,
so
my
that's the
God.
other connection that we have. And I'll tell you that she has just, she's an indie dog, and she just has the most amazing energy and character, and the way she lifts the spirits is phenomenal. And the story I'd like to say is that I was on vacation for a couple of weeks last month. And I have a chair in the office, and it's in a very nice spot because I've got the sun right beating down on it. And Maya went for a couple of days and decided I wasn't there and realized that somebody needed to take charge of the office. And so she went and curled herself up in my chair and basically took charge of the office. Or
Oh
she was
my God.
she was sleeping most of the time. And I came back and I asked my team whether there was a significant difference. I have a feeling they preferred having Maya around more than I. But she just lifts
sure.
the spirits. She just lifts the spirits of the office so much. Just amazing energy.
You
and character.
can't blame them, Salil. Maya's a showstopper.
What, really?
Yeah.
She's the boss.
Yeah. So you said you got Maya from Blue Cross in Hyderabad. So what was the process like?
Oh, the process, I can just talk from our side, was really simple. And I think part of it is because we've been working with the Blue Cross of Hyderabad for a long time now, more than 15 years. We've got a very deep, enduring partnership with them. I think the work that they do is absolutely pioneering in India. And so it was really relatively easy for us to have the conversation and go out and say that we've always had dogs in the office. We believe that having pets around makes us better people, and it's part of our purpose. Our purpose at Mars is building a better world for pets, and having pets there as a visible kind of sign of what you're trying to do is absolutely phenomenal. And so when we went and began the conversation with Amala and her team, it was actually relatively easy to kind of adopt Maya, and I think it's one of the best decisions we've made.
You know, because Amla, you started this around 1990, if I'm not mistaken, because one hadn't really heard of organizations and the kind of work that was going in, and you truly were the pioneer in getting an organizational feel to something that was individuals were doing. You know, you helped out a pet, you helped out two, you helped out a few of the strays, but you actually put this together. And I remember at that point of time, am I right about the 90s? That's when you said
92,
yeah, okay. So in the 90s, this one hadn't heard of that kind of work happening, and you started with that. What was the inspiration? What made you form the Blue Cross? What made you give this an organizational form?
So you're right. In many parts of the country, there was no understanding of an organized way to do animal welfare. But I had studied in Chennai.
Okay.
I grew up in Chennai, and Chennai has a long-lasting animal welfare culture. And I used to volunteer with Blue Cross of India, which is one of India's oldest animal welfare organizations. And so when I moved to Hyderabad, I saw accidents, animals in need of care, and I looked for a helpline to call, and I realized there was nothing. So I started doing it myself. And within a month, I think the house was full of injured animals, and buffalo with a broken hip, donkey with a injury, and cats and dogs and birds and rabbits.
How did the family react to this?
Well, the family was Nag. I had just got married and he came home one day and he realized he can't park his car anywhere. And so he said, you're doing it for yourself. Why don't you do it for the city?
Yeah.
You know how to do it. Why don't you do it for the city? So he
put the
sowed
thought
seed,
in your mind.
I wouldn't have, I'm not, at least I wasn't a visionary at that time. So then I went around the country visiting different places. Blue Cross of India, they trained me.
Okay.
I attended some training with the Animal Welfare
Just
Board.
one second. What do you mean by Blue Cross of India trained you? So what kind of training was this?
So I've also been trained by Mars Petcare. Yeah.
In animal welfare?
Yeah. Well,
so they really take welfare very seriously.
It is. It's a science. It's a new science, right? If you want to understand animal psychology and disease and how to prevent disease, also human-animal conflict, shelter maintenance, shelter management. These are all very important chapters in your training, and working with veterinarians and veterinary protocols, and where are the recognized training facilities for veterinarians. What are the authorized protocols that should be followed? So it's a science. So you can't do it without training.
Without the training,
because everything goes wrong, and there's human-animal conflict if you do it without the training. So when I was starting, Blue Cross of India helped me understand what it is to run a shelter and a rescue service. Then the animal birth control. Our intention was always to reduce suffering on the street. And when you do that, there's a kind of a myriad there's an overload of all the immense and vast issues that, people face and animals face on the street. And I think after a lot of doing everything and trying to solve everything, we hit on the root cause of this immense suffering, which was the ever-growing street dog population, stray animal population, which then attributed to road accidents, disease, dog fights, dog bites,
And the human-animal conflict. Yeah.
exactly, and homelessness in general. And leading to cruelty, immense cruelty. So to hit right to the core was how can we help reduce the stray animal population in a very humane way, and strategically plan how to improve the welfare of animals in general, right?
Right, yeah.
And so we shifted all our focus to the animal birth control program.
Okay.
And today we have 5 teams working. We work in 28 centers, localities around the city. And we do about 12,000 surgeries a year.
Wow.
Each surgery is supposed to reduce 1,000 in the future.
Okay.
So that's the scale at which we're moving. And over and above that, we work with Mission Rabies to vaccinate.
So the anti-rabies vaccine.
That's right. So we do about 30,000 vaccines, anti-rabies vaccines in the year. And we work with Mars Petcare to improve welfare standards through nutrition and a better awareness of how to interact to resolve the human-animal conflict.
Right.
Yeah.
Before I come to nutrition, I have a question on when you associate with the organizations like Blue Cross, are you looking for some sort of a certification? How do you know, is this organization really doing the work? Are they doing it in the humane way that they're supposed to work? So do you kind of have certain guidelines that you look for?
We do. So Mars obviously operates in about 130 countries across the world, and we work with several organizations across the world. And so I think we have some reasonably well-defined structures in place which cover for a couple of things, right? One is obviously governance to ensure that things are being utilized in an appropriate fashion. But then the other one is obviously without getting into the purview of local legislation, because there are Prevention for Cruelty Acts for animals which already have some of these structures in place. We have our own internal guidelines which ensure that the right kind of nutrition is given, the right kind of care is given, for example, and within certain limits. So we have a structure and a framework within which we operate. But I think if I were to think about the challenge and the opportunity for us, especially in India, right, where there are so many new pet parents coming in, so many shelters, the category itself, the industry itself is very...
so many of them, like literally individuals who start with shelters, and
Exactly.
if they all need support, and if like some individual who has started a shelter, maybe some friends coming together, and if they are looking for help, and if they want to approach you and look at the thing, what is it that they need to streamline in their organization so that they are good for you to kind of invest in it, I could say, not really like in that way, but
May I butt
Please,
in?
please, please,
May
by
I
all means.
butt in?
yes, please.
They already have a support system for them, which they created Chappy, the brand which is very affordable. Any animal feeder in any locality in India can afford a huge bag of Chappy, which will be nutrition for their, it's an affordable brand. I have people in villages in Uttarakhand ordering it, by the way, which is, good nutrition for any working street dog in that community. We've
amazing. Yeah.
We've created a
ranges,
support system, and in fact, we're trying to go further by helping support them. One of the biggest costs, for example, of maintaining a shelter is actually the right nutrition for the animals, the injured animals, and
which Chappy takes care of. I didn't even know that.
Which Mars can take care of in multiple different ways, whether it's therapeutic or whether it's things like Chappy, which is affordable
What do you mean by
nutrition as
therapeutic?
well. Therapeutic could be to manage specific issues, right? It could be a GI issue, a digestive issue, or a kidney issue, for example. And Mars, we've got a lot of science-based programs which help design nutrition for specific issues. And so we support, if Amala comes and says, look, I have a particular case of, a cat that has, say, a kidney issue, for example, we are potentially able to support it from a nutrition standpoint, right? But I think the biggest delta for me is less about the structures and the processes, because we can do that. That's what we do on a day-to-day basis. It's about, I think, the heart and the purpose.
Right.
So when we really look to partner with an organization, we're looking for the passion, we're looking for the purpose, we're looking for how can I create a better world for pets in general versus how can I make just a little bit more money today, right? And that, I think, fundamentally is the difference between some of these institutions like the Blue Cross, which has endured and thrived for so many years, versus some of the smaller institutions which maybe do not have that kind of
they don't last out. And obviously anyone who starts with it, we want to start with so that you can do this forever. But so that's the other thing, that heart is in the right place, but commerce does come into play. If you want to run a shelter, there are certain numbers that have to fall into place. So that's where the marriage of an organization like yours and an MNC like you, it's a very, very important mix that we need to have. So it's amazing to know that how these organizations work, and for all the individuals who are aiming to do that, this is the takeaway for you. But moving from there, we spoke about therapeutic use and emotional quotient, and there's a lot of stuff that very uniquely that Mars is doing. You've tied up with the app Calm, and I think we've all used that app at some point. At least I definitely have. And I was very surprised by Mars has tied up with Calm as an app. I mean, what kind of tie-up is this? I want to know more about that. Did you know that in a Mars Petcare and Calm global survey, 90% of people preferred their furry companion to help them stay calm, and 65% would rather cuddle their furry friend than a human being in times of stress?
I'll tell you, this is, Sonali, a partnership we're super excited about, right? So Calm is the world's #1 mental wellness app and platform. And I've used it as well on a personal level. One of the things that we've always known in the pet industry is having a pet around is a significant booster to your emotional health, your mental health, just the environment around you, right? Talk to any pet parent and they'll tell you that. So we decided to take this insight and put some data behind that, and that's why Mars partnered with Calm to really understand, let's put some numbers behind this.
So basically your numbers will support what pet parents have
always
been saying.
Know.
But for people who are not pet parents, let's give them the numbers and tell them that this is a science.
Absolutely right. That was exactly the intention, right? And so we went to about more than 20,000 pet parents, 30,000 pet parents across 20 countries, India being one of them, and talked to a lot of pet parents, right? And some of the insights we got were eye-opening even for us.
Okay.
So for example, almost 73% of respondents globally and in India as well said having a pet improves my mental well-being, improves my emotional well-being, improves my happiness every day. So great, we know that. But then what's really interesting is more than 94% of them said that having a pet helps me, break away from my screens and spend more time out in the real world. Now, if you think about it, all of us struggle with that. We're on our phones, we're on our screens, our kids are on our screens and on their screens and phones. And 94% of pet parents really saying if I have a dog or a cat or another pet at home, it helps me decouple from that and I spend a lot more quality time with my family and my pet. Now, that is something aspirational for all of us. All of us want to be more present with our families, more present with our friends. And so having a pet actually helps boost that as well. So there's some really interesting insights that have come out of that. And what we are doing is continuing to work with Calm to build out those insights, talk to more pet parents and begin to start a conversation around this whole subject.
So what do you do with Calm then right now? If I go on the app, what is it that I can do as a pet parent?
Absolutely. You can go to Calm and we have a specific section for pets where you can listen to music, you can do guided meditation along with pets. There's a whole series of content that we are beginning to publish along with Calm that helps bring this whole, think of it as almost online pet therapy and brings it to life and brings it into your living room.
So this is therapy for the humans, but what about the animals? Is your app helping the animals also?
Soothing music. Diwali time, put the curtains, play the soothing music. Some rescue remedy in the water.
What do you mean by rescue remedy? Please tell me more about this. Bach flower.
Bach flower remedy. Yeah, rescue remedy.
In the water.
10 drops
and
in the
this
water.
Calm, put on the Calm.
Music.
So this Diwali, this is the trick, rescue remedy in the water and calm app to for some
Close the
soothing
curtains.
and close the curtains.
Works
Don't
for
forget
you, works
that.
for your pet.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's amazing. You know, but when we talk about stress and all of that, and we are talking about all the good things about what the pet brings, but somebody who's not a pet parent, and like in families, one partner can want a pet and the other partner will not be so easy and is not like ready for it. The argument would be that yes, I understand all of that, but when your pet is not well, and especially when eventually when there's chronic illness and all that, there's a lot of stress that happens with that. And when you're in shelter and you see so many of these animals which come to you with so many problems, maybe how you deal with it could help pet parents understand how to deal with the stress and how to deal with animals who go through this chronic ailment or the stress that they have.
I think this is, Sonali, a problem that isn't talked about enough. Because the reality is that sometimes owning a pet can be stressful as well, right? Especially if your pet has, chronic health issues or
Yeah.
behavioral issues or so on and so forth. So some of the work that we've done, including the survey, has uncovered some really interesting data as well. Something like 33% of pet parents say they feel stressed when they have to go out to work every day because they're leaving their pet alone at home, right? We know about a quarter of them say, hey, the environment I live in is not conducive to having a pet, right? I can't take my dog out for a walk,
Yeah.
or, there are no open green spaces, or cities are just polluted and so on and so forth. And so if you actually, and then layer that on to some of the issues where in small towns, I don't have easy access to vets, there may be behavioral issues which I'm not able to, I'm qualified to do it. 73% of Indian pet parents are first time pet parents.
Yes,
right?
that's true.
In the US, it's about, that number is about 20%. So 80% of pet parents have had pets before in the families. So they know what to do in this case. In India, a lot of the pet parents are saying, I've never encountered this problem where...
And then they go onto social media and there are all kinds of myths over there and stories, and they're trying experiments on the pet with all good intentions.
The intentions are always good, but sometimes the impact is not always
Absolutely,
where
it leaves us confused.
And that's why I think education is just so critical in driving awareness about whether it's the right nutrition or who are the right people to consult in a particular kind of point in time. If I need to adopt a pet, what's the right procedure, and how do I kind of go to a recognized shelter where I can actually adopt. There are just so many what we call pet parent pain points. And I think the ability of the ecosystem, and it's not just Mars or one or two.
Well, I also hope the Happy Podcast becomes one of those points where you can come and have the support of a community. And if you have questions, write into us and let's kind of engage more, have more conversations and understand what our furry friends need. But as we talk about in shelter, you get animals who have issues, like you said, accident, there are chronic illnesses, and a lot of times when we see that animals get abandoned when they have diseases that cannot be treated. It could be because it's very expensive, the treatment, or they just don't know what to do, and oh my God, it's become a problem, and they don't have bladder control or whatever, and they're abandoned. They come to your shelters. Are there any alternate therapies that you use?
For old age, there is homeopathy and there is alternate therapies, but you'll need a therapist there, right? I know there are energy healers who will come and who will do energy healing. There are homeopaths who will come and dispense homeopathy. There are alternate therapists who will come with their remedies.
So we know that, it's not guaranteed that these are going to work. I mean, that's the caveat I want to add. What has your experience been?
So the thing is this, I think it's the attention which really matters.
Oh.
It's how much time you spend with the animal. And see, Icy is getting older.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? It's the quality time you spend with her rather than the amount you spend on the medicine, right? So I get calls. So my day job is director of Annapurna College of Film and Media. So I'll get calls in the middle of the day from some IS officer in some place, or IPS officer some place, or some minister some place, their dog is getting old, it's suffering, is there some place they can send it? And I'd say it will die the most unhappy, miserable death. Please don't do that. Just, give them all the love you can, and just remember, it's the most natural thing. Hey, I'm aging too.
Yeah. We all are.
We all are. I look after my 88-year-old mother. I look after my 89-year-old father. Every day is a new challenge.
Absolutely.
Every day is a new wonder.
Yeah.
And you just have to give them time, and that's all that matters. So the therapies, yes. I mean, pain management is something very important. If it crosses the threshold of pain, there is no need to prolong the suffering forever.
Yeah.
You're just satisfying yourself.
Yeah.
You're not satisfying any other need.
It's the
But,
most difficult decision.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So it's the attention. It's the quality of interaction.
can be, yeah.
It's today matters.
Today matters. And in that, like we said, calm being one of the things that we can kind of add in for our pets also,
Yeah.
like you pointed out in this whole
Yeah.
thing.
But talking about dealing with
It
suffering,
just reminded me of how Icy is aging.
so I'm reminding you to treasure today. I know you do, but
Yeah,
it's,
I'm
it's
sorry.
the
I
truth.
get so emotional about it. Yeah.
And it's the wonder. That's the wonder.
It is, and I agree. And it's been such a fulfilling journey to have her. But just the reminder that this sofa today, I needed to help her up because obviously her hips are not what they used to be, and all of that. It's a reminder, and I mean, it's not when I get emotional about
Yeah.
it, it's not sadness,
Yeah,
but it's
I know.
still
It's-
it's just a lot of emotion, and I can't help it. Yeah, but this is the other thing that I find animals do. Because they keep you so connected with your emotions, the empathy. That was, I found that in my child, in my parenting, I needed my child to grow up with a pet because the kind of empathy that you can build in a child with having a pet and caring for a pet, I mean, nothing else can really give you that.
And they're a microcosm, right? So their life cycle is much shorter than ours. So
Yeah.
we see it several times,
Yeah.
and we prepare for our own lives.
If we are smart and we learn the lessons
Yeah,
from it, but there are a lot
yeah.
of us who are in denial and don't want to really learn it. So yeah, that also happens. Yeah. But changing the topic a bit, how did Mars get into pet care?
So it's a really interesting story because Mars got into pet care almost 90 years ago now, this year, by buying a brand called Chappie, which Amala just talked about. So that was our first brand that we ever bought. It was a small brand in the UK, which was, pet food that was scientifically formulated for dogs. And now Petcare is just one of our biggest businesses in Mars. Mars is a $55 billion business, completely privately
Petcare is
owned.
the biggest business,
And Petcare is the biggest part of Mars right now. And it really spans across not just the nutrition part of it, but also the care part of it, right? And so we have, a number of veterinary hospitals across the world, chains of hospitals. We do a lot of teaching as well there. And then we have a science and diagnostics lab as well, which is doing some really cool stuff, including AI and a bunch of other things as well.
Can you tell us more about that?
I'm happy to do that. And so that's all part of kind of Mars.
Yeah, but how is AI helping with the pet care?
So I think AI
Is it in
just
nutrition?
going to, it has so many use cases. So I'll give you a few examples, right? Imagine a future in which you have IC here, and then you are able to actually tailor IC's daily nutrition based on how active she's been that day, whether there is something where she's getting older and therefore her lifestyle has changed or something like that. That's one way to do it.
Yeah.
But there are also tools that are coming up right now that can allow you potentially to tailor the nutrition plan and also sense potential, health incidents that could come and give you early warning of that as well. And those tools are being developed as we speak. There are some prototypes out there as well. So technology can actually...
Is that you go more into the genetics of it? Is that
You
what
could-
it is?
Well, they're sensor based, for example. Some of it is also genetic based, which allows
Okay.
you to predict what is going to happen. And therefore, what you're moving to from is reacting to something that happens to your pet to predicting
Preventive.
and then potentially preventing it as well. right?
Preventive care
And
is
that
so
then
important.
becomes that's the holy grail as
Yeah.
well. And technology is allowing us to do that. And we've got a lot of science based tools. We're partnering with a lot of other organizations that allow us to kind of do that. And so, really, if you kind of think about it, why are we doing so many different things like food and therapeutics and a whole bunch of different things, vet hospitals? It comes from our purpose, right? Which is how do you make a better world for pets, right? And we were talking about kind of start small and then everybody kind of begins to come and join you. But ultimately, we're all united by what we do, which is a better world for pets. It's part of the reason why we have partnerships like this. It's part of the reason why we spend a lot of money in terms of science and the right nutrition and so on and so forth. It all comes from.
No, but this is great data, and if you're in your science and research, if you've found, is there anything more that you can share with us? Because as pet parents, these are the tools that we are all looking for. We have aging pets, we have pets. You can get a puppy cute and everything, and there can be a problem. How do you deal with it?
May I interrupt? Yes. Sorry, we'll come back to Salil's answer. But before you go into AI, can I talk about human intelligence first?
Yes, please.
Yeah. And I'll just give you an example how nutrition matters. I'm not there's no commercial benefit from this. This is the truth. Across India, the general approach to sheltering animals and taking care of puppies is basically somebody with a very kind heart putting all the ingredients they believe is so healthy and cooking it with a lot of milk and they cook the food and then they feed. And what happens is within 20 minutes of serving cooked food, the food starts deteriorating. And the deteriorating food causes severe diarrhea, especially in young animals. And across India, and my shelter was no less, I'm guilty as charged. Across India, our animals were dying of diarrhea. Hundreds of puppies would die every month, and it was a normal thing. It was an accepted norm.
That you will get the thing and
that we don't know what disease they come with. We didn't realize that it was the cooked food that was doing this.
Oh, I did not know this.
Yeah. And then Mars came to set up their factory in Hyderabad. And a team from them came, visited us. And we were very skeptical because we were all brainwashed with this thing, this ready-made food is all wrong, it will kill, it will damage the kidneys. All kinds of brainwash had been done. So we, looked very suspiciously at this team and all of that. But along with it came this truckload of food. And a truckload of food for a shelter is like God sent.
Absolutely.
So we gently started feeding. You won't believe, in a week, all the diarrhea cleared up.
Wow.
In a month, our puppies and our animals started playing. They were happy. There was no more biting or aggression. There was no more insecurity. The nutrition not only helped them heal from inside, they helped them with their mental well-being. And along with it came this lovely coat, shiny, glossy coat. The adoption started because everybody wants a happy...
The key was the nutrition.
And a good-looking dog. Absolutely.
Good-looking, happy pet with, no insecurities.
Correct.
Somebody starving themselves will be neurotic,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. We get hangry. I mean, if we are not fed, we are...
So it just changed the world. And then, we ate humble pie, saying, what a lot of rubbish we were, brainwashed with. And the partnership started there. Then Linda Mars came and she looked around. She said, how do you manage to do this? Because he was like overcrowded and never ending. We were getting 1,000 a month.
Wow.
And yeah, I said, I don't have any choice. And then she flew 3 of us to their center in Waltham. When I say that, I know a lot of people look at me with envy. They have a beautiful center in
It's
Waltham.
a science and research center
Yeah,
that we have in
and we
Waltham.
I
spent a
want to
week
go
there.
there too.
We
want
to
spent
see
a
it.
week
Center.
there, and they just took us to each of their programs and made us understand the extent of science that they'd put into it. We've got even more humble.
Yeah.
And then she organized a trip to all the different animal shelters there at the time, and then they took us to
Battersea, if I'm not mistaken.
Battersea, and then it was Dogs Trust.
Oh yes, in Bristol.
You know, that visit to Dogs Trust, that completely made the shift for me.
What did you see there?
I saw what I didn't know was possible.
What do you mean?
You know, they say that what is education? Education is where it's not about making you mug up facts and figures which are going to be outdated, and AI will tell you 10 times more, right? It's not facts and figures. Education is about creating an experience where you can see possibilities that never existed in your own psyche, right? You begin to see possibilities that you were not even aware of. And it kind of lights a fire where there's no stopping, right? You just,
Oh my God, all
yeah,
this can
yeah.
be done.
So that's what Linda Mars did for me. And I'm so grateful for that.
So what was it at the shelters that really changed you?
So what she was doing was she was exposing us to a variety of experiences where our narrow minds would just burst open, and we would become aware of all these different approaches and practices and what others had achieved in that field.
Right.
And Dogs Trust was a beautiful, it was focused on dogs, where they were trying to facilitate adoption of abandoned dogs and dogs that, were being trafficked for the pet industry. And and they had just created a place where animals were truly themselves. You're getting
Happy,
getting a
so
moment
you could
of that.
truly understand the potential of this animal. What was the potential for love from that animal, because they were happy. And
and I'm going back to parenting from that as mindful parents. It's a happy home is where everybody has their space to be themselves. They're not being judged and dominated and controlled or pushed into being something that's self-expressed, and yet they're so passionate about something and they're following their dreams.
Absolutely.
So it was a space where humans and animals could interact and then find a future, heal. That's where healing happens.
So this is the human intelligence that Mars has been using for the longest time.
And I think, Sonali, this is more important than the artificial intelligence, at least now, because the potential is infinite. But to what Amala was just saying right now, if you think about it, what do a lot of pet parents do? Exactly what she was saying, right? Which is it's a rice or chicken or curds or eggs, and you mix it up and you feed it to them.
With
and
garlic.
It's with garlic
Which makes them
sometimes, which is
anemic.
toxic, but it's all done with the right intentions. Every pet parent says, how can I do the best for my pet today? The issue is that obviously that nutrition is not what the animal needs, what the pet needs at that point. You don't have the amino acids, you don't have the mineral ratios that are required, and over time suboptimal nutrition leads to poorer health outcomes. And I think what she was talking about is almost an extreme case, but then there are 63 million street animals in India right now. It's one of the highest in the world. And if you look at them, a bulk of them are malnourished, and therefore they have poor skin and coat, they have like bad guts and digestive systems,
So
the
all
behavioral
of us talk
issues.
about, oh, these are the street dogs, they are not, they'll spread diseases and all of that.
But
They
let's go
needn't.
back to the root cause. The root
Yeah.
cause is fundamentally they're not getting sufficient food, and there's a scarcity of food, and that leads to a number of issues which kind of manifest themselves. And fixing that, at least if you're a pet parent, the way I think about it is how can you move from instinctive care to much more
Science-backed care.
science-backed and informed, educated care, and ultimately it's going to produce better outcomes.
So I agree. We agree, all of us agree on the fact that human intelligence and empathy cannot be replaced. And we are using that caveat. But what is artificial intelligence? How is it helping? What are the new things? As a pet parent, I'm very interested in knowing how can artificial intelligence help me in predict certain diseases or with old age, as we will all be dealing with senior pets.
Look, I'll tell you that these are super early days right now.
Okay.
Right? I think everybody's still trying to find out
So we
where
should
the
not get
limits
too
are.
excited, but there is exciting stuff.
I think there's a lot of potential and a lot of exciting stuff that can come our way, and I know there are a lot of organizations that are working hard at this. But I think fundamentally for me, the core pieces are how do we look after the more basic needs of our pets at this point? How do we make sure that we're feeding them right, we're treating them right, giving them the care, giving them the space that they really need, and then how are we treating our communities, and how are we building communities that help nurture them and help them feel kind of in a safe space.
When you talk about communities, the beautiful part on this season itself, we have a lovely young girl from Lucknow coming in, who is an illustrator, and she's been painting graffiti and all to bring animal awareness, and she works with does art workshops with the children in municipal schools. And I thought that was so important. One, because she was a really young girl, and people don't want my age group to be, it becomes a lecture, but somebody their age group doing something like that, and her teaching the kids, because that is the key. We need our children to understand have the empathy and understand animal welfare, because then the human animal conflict is never going to grow into that much. They will always have the empathy for them. So again, like you said, the community is what's the aim of the podcast. So I hope we can build a community where we can have all these voices. So one question when we talk about, the mental health of animals also, there has been a lot of, after the pandemic, there has been a lot of separation anxiety with the animals. Anything that you can add to or help, because a lot of people are dealing with this now.
It's very true. Look, what happened during the pandemic, there were a lot of people, not just in India, but globally, who adopted a lot of pets, right? And they spent a lot of quality time with pets because everybody was stuck at home and the pets grew up in a particular way. And then a couple of years or months later, or whatever it is, people started going back to work, right? Now, this has had multiple consequences, because pets love routine and pets love predictability. And one of the things that has been disrupted is all of a sudden the pet is all alone, having been with humans for such a long time, had company, had quality time, they're all of a sudden being left alone at home.
Do they feel abandoned?
There is a significant amount of abandonment that they feel, and it manifests itself in many different ways. And some of the ways that we've seen globally, for example, behavioral issues come up, for example.
Okay.
Sometimes there are health issues as well that crop up as a result of that, and sometimes it's because people don't notice some of the things that are happening there. And then what happens is there are some pet parents who say, oh my God, this is a lot to handle.
Yes.
It's my dog's barking all the time, or my cat is just withdrawing and refusing to engage with me. There's an underlying kind of cause for that. And then in some cases that has led to abandonment. We've seen a lot of that happening. So that's really, that's real, and that's a global phenomenon as well. And I think the more we can, the fixes for me are not dramatic. It could be as simple as spending some time taking your dog for a walk, for example.
So you would say that it's about forming a new routine.
It's about forming a new routine where you're spending the quality time and making sure you're spending the quality time.
And it could be half an hour, it could be 1 hour rather than the 24 hours you were there, but just giving them the routine so that they calm down, and they know that, okay, this is what it is, and they adapt to it.
They
Because
adapt to
I
it very
see her
quickly.
adapting to it all the time, like,
Absolutely.
because I travel and, everybody is going in and out, and she adapts to it.
Absolutely. The other thing is that people don't know what to do, right? They have the right intentions, but then what do I do? My dog is barking all the time. They go on Google and they kind of search for some stuff. Or there's anecdotal based solutions. I ask my uncle, for example, who honestly probably doesn't know enough to opine on the subject. And they come to wrong conclusions. So in this gap, there's a lot of social media myths and kind of anecdotal basic stuff.
Over the
which
barking,
kind of
suddenly there was a myth about putting some, plugging in some scent thing, and that will calm them down. I said, but do they need to be calmed, or is there some other underlying issue, But it was
the right
like,
question.
no, this is what needs to be done. I mean, it's scary what all comes out.
That's the right question. And so I think part of what we're also trying to do is, education, digital engagement, for example, meeting pet parents wherever they are. It could be on their phone, it could be in their communities, it could be in stores, for example, but helping them, educate them on the right ways. And again, it comes back to the community word that you used, right? Which is a community of people who are thinking about it, whether it's the therapists or the counselors or the breeders or pet parents themselves coming together. How do we kind of begin to form that support system which lifts everybody up?
No, that's true. But even Mars and nutrition, coming to that, one question that I have is, so nutrition in Mars has changed from in the 90 years, it has become, can I say, more science-based,
Absolutely.
more research-based.
Absolutely.
And so I would say rather than a one-size-fits-all, it's become
really much
even
more tailored, if you will.
Yes.
Amala talked about Waltham, which is our science and research center in the UK, and they've done 60 years of research into what is the right kind of food for what life stage, for what therapeutic use. Puppies needed to be different from adults.
I want more of this research. 60 years of research, I want access to it.
There is a ton of research. We have some absolutely brilliant scientists there who made it the life's work.
Part
that's
of
true.
this.
That's
Out
true.
comes the product after the research.
Yeah, you do have even
Sorry,
like
please.
for
Absolutely
various,
right.
for kidney health, like everybody talks about coat health and
Research.
hip joints and all that, but there are more you have for, and now recently you have for obesity also, and
Absolutely. Weight management is a big,
yes,
well,
big
for humans
issue
as well. And
yes,
so
and you have that.
we have therapeutic products for that, and all of that comes from the science. So just making sure that we're much more intentional versus instinctual, I think that
Right.
really becomes the evolution of pet parenting.
Amazing, amazing. That was so informative and fun. And thank you so much for doing that. And I know what I need to follow up on. I want to know more about this. We need to use this science and research that goes on and use it for our advantage.
But remember, all their products, their entire range comes from that science.
That's true. That's
So
true.
the science itself won't make much sense.
Yeah.
But it's like what you to know that, okay, for an old age dog, for a dog at 12 or 13, what do I feed? There are special ranges of food for that
Yes,
age. For a dog with obesity, there is a range of food. A dog with renal trouble, there is a range.
yes,
Joint pains, there is a range.
Yeah.
So
Kidney
there's
issues,
Kidney
entire-
issues,
the
it's-
amount of the range of products available today is phenomenal. Before you end,
Yes.
I'd love to just take a minute on
course,
your show to
Amala,
talk
please.
about adopting and not just
But shopping.
shopping.
Yeah, adopting and not shopping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a world of incredible animals out there.
Absolutely.
And owners, pet parents who passed away, pet parents who moving town and can't accommodate, pet parents who had good intentions but realized they were not cut out for parenting, pet parents who kind of ran into financial challenges, or bad breeders who, unscientific breeders who just wanted to make a quick buck and inbred their animals.
Absolutely.
And the animal showed some kind of a health issue and was abandoned on the street. There are millions of animals out there, and all it takes, a lot of people say, oh, I can't adopt because, I don't have the space. The thing is, you need the space in your heart first. So And you know, there are other pet parents who say, I had this wonderful pet and you know, she passed away and I'll never, ever, 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 ever have another pet
Because I
I'll
can't
be...
go through the pain.
Exactly. And I tell them, you know, you have no idea. You were blessed with 16 years of heaven
Yeah.
on earth.
Yeah.
I give you 10 days. Cry all you want.
Yeah.
And on the 11th day, up you get and go in her memory, go and adopt another.
Yeah.
Don't just adopt one.
Yeah.
This neurosis happens when they're alone. Adopt two of them. And they will look after each other and you will get that heaven back in your home. And
It's
she
not like
will
you
be
miss,
watching.
you are never going to forget your pet. And a lot of times people feel, oh, I'm cheating on their memory or
No.
something like that. You are never going to forget. The love that you had is always going to be part of you. But you know, you can't just
Exactly.
because you felt pain, you can't stop living. And this is living.
But that pain is worth those 16 years of
Yes.
heaven.
I agree. I agree. Thank you so much, Amla, and thank you, Salil. It
Thank you
was
for having
really
me.
wonderful.
Thank you.
You know, this conversation was educational for me also, and I hope our community takes away a lot from this conversation. So, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Happy Podcast. If you had as much fun listening as we did creating it, help us spread the positive vibes even further. We've got plenty more tail wagging episodes coming your way. So stay tuned, stay kind, and maybe sneak in an extra treat for your furry friend today. Catch more possum content on our YouTube channel RosePod and on Instagram at the Happy Podcast. Until next time, keep those tails wagging and those hearts smiling.